You say you have faith, but why does it still feel like you're waiting? Sounds like a provocation, but it's actually a wake-up call. Most people confuse faith with patience and spend years believing they're trusting God, when really they're just postponing life. That's the trap. Thinking faith means sitting around waiting for a miracle, when real faith, Neville's kind of faith, is presence, is now, is claiming the end before the middle even begins. Strange, right? You were taught that waiting with hope was virtuous, but what if that very waiting is what's holding everything back? What if, while you pray and wait, the universe is on hold too, waiting for you to stop waiting and start inhabiting your inner faith? No one says this in church or in the mainstream books or those feel-good YouTube videos, but today you're going to hear the truth that ignites, the faith that works, the faith that manifests. Because when you get that feeling is the secret, and that imagination creates reality, something shifts inside. After that, you'll never live the same way again. But before things shift on the outside, you'll have to face where, deep down, your faith has turned into nothing more than a pretty speech. Are you ready for that shift? So many people say they have faith, but keep checking the clock, waiting for a sign, an answer, a miracle that hasn't come yet. Like faith is some kind of numbered ticket in the universe's waiting room. But real faith, as Neville said, isn't sitting back. It's living like you've already received. Faith isn't about some future hope. It's full presence in the now. It's walking like it's already yours, even when your eyes see nothing yet. Think about it. If someone says they believe it'll rain but walks out without an umbrella, do they really believe it? Faith that only shows up in words is just disguised waiting. But those who truly live from inner faith act differently, feel differently, breathe differently. Not because they're faking it, but because that reality is already alive inside them, and that shifts everything. Their posture, their decisions, even how they give thanks. So here's a simple litmus test. Are you waiting or living? Because anyone still waiting, even with good intentions, is more aligned with lack than with certainty. They're tuned into the frequency of not yet, instead of the reality of already is. And that's where something powerful, though subtle, comes into play. The invisible link between your faith and your internal state. There's a subtle but powerful detail that separates those who live by faith from those who just talk about it. Your internal state. Real faith, as Neville teaches, shifts something inside before anything shifts outside. It's like tuning a radio station. As long as your mind is on the "I don't have it yet" frequency, life will reflect that. Waiting, doubt, distance. But when your heart changes the station, the world starts to respond. Here's the key question. What do you feel when you think about what you want? Anxious, afraid it won't work out, or peaceful like it's already yours? That's what sets apart someone practicing operating faith. Because feeling is the secret. Remember, when someone really lives in that state, they don't force positive thoughts. They naturally vibrate certainty. It's not performance. It's quiet conviction, the kind of faith that even calms your breathing. The law of assumption, when deeply understood, shows us that reality reflects your dominant inner state. In other words, if your inner world is still painted with the colors of doubt, hanging a hope poster on the wall won't change much. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. And that's where a lot of people trip up. They think they're walking in faith, but they're stuck in a very subtle trap. Maybe one of the mind's most deceptive traps is when someone believes they're in faith, but they're really just waiting in a more sophisticated way. Phrases like, "I know it'll happen," "One day it'll be mine," or "When God wills it," sound nice, but they carry a built-in delay. Living faith doesn't speak in one-day language. It lives in the now. It doesn't beg for blessings, it walks in certainty. It's like someone who wants a promotion but only starts acting like a leader after getting the title, or someone who longs for love but only feels worthy once they're in a relationship. That's not faith, it's dependency on the external. Imagination creates reality when you stop playing the role of the beggar and step into your inner throne. That's not arrogance, it's identity. And that kind of identity doesn't wait, it expresses. People stuck in the waiting game are often masters at justifying the delay. Everything has its time. Maybe it wasn't meant to be yet. I guess I still have things to learn. These might sound wise, but they're often faith-sabotaging beliefs in disguise. They keep your mind in the cycle of not yet, of almost, of someday. And the worst part, most of this happens unconsciously. But there is a way out, and it starts from within. Living faith doesn't wait for circumstances to change before living differently. It transforms from the inside out before any outer sign appears. It's like turning on the light in a dark room, not because someone told you to, but because you've decided to see. To live in the state now means to feel loved before the hug, prosperous before the deposit, healed before the diagnosis. It flips the logic and quietly rewires your soul. Those who start practicing this lifestyle discover that faith isn't about trying to believe. It's living as if the scene has already unfolded. And for that, you don't need the scene. You need alignment. Take a simple example. Someone longing for peace, but constantly battling their own thoughts. To live in the state is to breathe like someone at peace, respond with gentleness, and give thanks as if it's already done. That's living faith in motion. And yeah, in the beginning it might feel like pretending. The mind will whisper, "What if this is all fake?" But that's where the shift begins. You're not lying. You're rehearsing the truth until it becomes real, until your inner state and your outer world sync up. That's what it means to live in the end, like Neville said, inhabiting the finale before it's even visible. And when that becomes natural, something strange starts to happen. The mind can say 1,000 things, but the body tells the truth. And when it comes to faith, feeling is the final signature. Neville Goddard's real faith locks in when the feeling stabilizes, when you think of your desire and feel peace, not stress, not panic, not strain. That's not dreaming, that's emotional certainty. That's the line between wanting something and already feeling like it's yours, even if you haven't moved an inch. Imagine someone hoping to be healed, but every time they think about it, fear creeps in. What's really running the show? The fear, the doubt, the lack, and that weakens the signal. But when that person breathes deep and feels whole, even without external proof, that's when they've stepped into operative faith. No need to repeat affirmations 1,000 times or convince anyone else. Just feel it. That's the secret. Always has been. Here's where most people get stuck. They confuse positive thinking with stabilized feeling. But thinking is mental, feeling is vibrational, and the universe responds to your dominant frequency. So if your faith doesn't relax your shoulders or slow your breath, it's still just an idea. And as long as your faith is stuck in the waiting room, your results will be too. But what happens when you start noticing what's been blocking? Sometimes it's not a lack of faith that blocks your manifestation. It's the overflow of hidden beliefs, silently draining your power. You know those phrases that seem harmless? These things take time. I'm too young for this, and I have no idea how it could happen. Each of those carries a subtle sabotage code. The person may try to walk in operating faith, but deep down, inner voices are whispering, "Not really." And those whispers do damage quietly. A client once told me, "I affirm every day that I'm abundant, but I still get anxious opening my bank app." See the contradiction? What's driving the inner state isn't the words, it's the feeling. And these faith-blocking beliefs are sneaky. They dress up as caution, logic, or humility, but in practice they trap you in limbo. If they go unchecked, they keep your faith as a concept, not as a living force. That's why identifying these beliefs is step one to real freedom. Write down everything you believe about money, love, success. Ask yourself, does this fuel my faith or stall it? If the answer is, it stalls me, toss it out, delete it. Living faith can't operate in cluttered space. It blooms where doubt has been cleared and old beliefs uprooted, where something new is finally allowed to grow from the inside out. Now that you get that feeling is the bridge and faith can't coexist with doubt, here comes the practical part. How do you activate living faith consciously? Simple, but powerful. Pick a short, realistic scene that represents your desire already fulfilled. Maybe it's you signing a contract, hugging someone you love, or reading a specific message. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and step into that scene with your entire body, not just your thoughts. The secret is this. Live in that state now, not like you're acting, but like you're diving into it fully. Feel the texture of your clothes, the air around you, the emotion in your chest, as if it's actually happening. Do this often, until your body starts to recognize it as familiar. That's the living faith practice. It's not about reciting lines, it's about emotional presence. That's where the internal signal aligns with what's meant to come. Golden tip? Do this before bed. The sleep state is fertile ground for planting deep impressions. Neville called it feeling the end, living like it's real until it becomes real. With practice, that scene won't feel like effort, it'll feel like home. And when that happens, you'll start noticing subtle internal shifts. You won't always be able to explain them, but you won't be able to ignore them either. That feeling all along? One of the clearest signs that your faith is activated is this: the rush disappears. You don't feel the urge to make it happen anymore because deep down it already has. There's a lightness, like something has quietly clicked into place. You stop chasing signs and start noticing them. It's subtle, it's deep, and it usually comes with a kind of peace that logic can't explain, but your spirit recognizes instantly. Some people notice their thoughts shifting. They stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start affirming, "It's already mine." Others realize that triggers that once caused anxiety now barely faze them. That's what operating faith feels like. It's like walking a path you know by heart. Even if the outside hasn't changed, you move with confidence. And when that confidence is real, it starts reshaping your entire world. And here's the wild part. Small alignments start showing up. An unexpected invitation, a random conversation that opens a door, a brilliant idea that seems to pop out of nowhere. These are the signs of active faith, not forced, not controlled, but natural and fluid. And the more you notice these shifts, the more they multiply. The invisible begins nudging the visible, and when that happens, what comes next is almost always inevitable. When faith shifts from desire to state of being, something magical, yet completely logical, starts happening. The outer world responds. People show up, doors open, synchronicities pile up. And no, it's not luck, it's alignment. The law of assumption doesn't fail. What you fully assume as real inside will eventually reflect outside. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. The space reshapes itself around the flame. Often the visible manifestation starts with something tiny, a message, a sudden shift in someone's attitude, a quiet moment of "this is it." That's the universe echoing your steady vibration. Neville's teachings remind us the outer world is just a mirror of what's already formed in the unseen. So when the signs begin to appear, it's not a surprise, it's a confirmation. And that confirmation brings power. At this stage, the key is not to sabotage it with anxiety or control. Don't obsess over the how. Let imagination create reality while you remain grounded in peace. Trust the connections that arise, even if they seem random. Life is moving according to the script you wrote with your inner state. And this is when you begin to realize with complete clarity, you're not just reacting to life, you're shaping it. The kind of faith that changes lives isn't the one waiting for proof. It's the one that decides to become the proof. Operating faith is internal action, a lifestyle. It doesn't need external validation to move or permission from the world to believe. People living in this state don't beg for blessings. They generate them. They don't look for signs. They become the sign. And that completely changes how they move through life. They stop being victims of their circumstances and start becoming authors of their own story. Every thought becomes a choice. Every emotion becomes a compass. Someone who lives at this level of faith understands that the world isn't happening to them. It's flowing from them. This is what living in the end looks like, as Neville Goddard taught. It's knowing there's nothing out of reach for the one who fully feels, assumes, and remains in that state. So the final invitation isn't to believe harder, it's to stop waiting, to step out of spiritual passivity and into conscious creation. Faith stuck in wait mode just builds frustration, but active, embodied, chosen faith, that's what creates realities. And once you tap into it, there's no going back. Something shifts, something blooms. And before you even realize it, you're living what you used to only dare to imagine. Now tell me this, are you really living by faith or just waiting, afraid to be disappointed? How many times have you postponed your joy, your peace, your breakthrough, just because your eyes couldn't see it yet? Maybe that's the real issue. Faith that waits, delays. Faith that lives, manifests. So the question remains, will you keep waiting for signs or will you become the sign? It's in your hands now, to step out of the line and onto the stage of your own creation. And it all starts inside. What inner state will you choose to live from today? Doubt or certainty? Almost or already is? Let me know in the comments. What part of this message hit you the hardest? And if this sparked something in you, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and keep walking with us on this journey of awareness, living faith, and real manifestation.